Hello, I'm Jay Anderson, and welcome to What It's Like. This is a This versus That episode. This is episode 3, Maverick versus everything else. This is the most in-depth comparison video on the tube, comparing the Ford Maverick with other trucks in the same price point. Side note, we are not comparing the Maverick with like the bigger half-ton trucks such as the Ford F-150 or the Chevy Silverado, Nissan Frontier, Toyota Tundra. Cybertruck hasn't come out yet, so we don't have the figures of that. But we're going to compare all the smaller, light-duty half-ton trucks. Okay, so let's talk Maverick. Depending on what generation you grew up in, you might recall the Maverick being a car instead of a truck, and you're absolutely correct. Ford made the car version of the Maverick from 1970 to 1977. It was more of a sporty econo car. Here's a side note, something to think about. So Ford's got this trifecta effect going on now that they brought back the Maverick. The Maverick meaning horse, and it's a small truck. They also have Mustang, which is a car, or the electric crossover Mach-E Mustang you can consider, I guess. It is also a horse. Bronco is like an SUV, sports utility off-road vehicle, which is also a horse. So Ford, they don't sell cars anymore, they just sell horses. Okay, let's talk about the all-new Ford Maverick and why it's so special and why everybody's talking about it. Let's get started. Base price at $19,995 with the hybrid engine as standard. First time an automotive company has offered a hybrid engine as standard equipment on a truck. It has 191 horsepower, CVT transmission. It only comes in front-wheel drive with the hybrid power plant. This baby could haul 1,500 pounds of payload. Also pull 2,000 pounds, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but think about it. It's a hybrid power plant. It makes 191 horsepower. The box is only 4.5 feet long. Ford claims with the tailgate down, you could get 18 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood or drywall in the back. There's also 6 points where you could tie it down in the back so it doesn't fly out or go everywhere all over the road. I've had that happen to me. It sucks. Okay, before we move any further, let's talk about trim levels. So there's 3 trim levels for the hybrid, and if you decided to get the 2-liter turbo, which is a $1,085 upcharge over the hybrid engine. Some bad news about the hybrid engine. So they discontinued making the hybrid version of the Maverick until 2023 because COVID's still a prevalent thing, and there's some supply chain issues. They can't get the chips that they need to build these vehicles. So unfortunately, we're in this really weird scenario where dealerships are charging up to $25,000 over MSRP, which is totally ridiculous. Prices are so high to deter potential customers from buying those vehicles because the demand is so high that the supply can't even really meet the demand, so they make the prices high. But what happens whenever people keep buying at the inflated prices? Well, the manufacturers aren't stupid. They will look at that. Well, maybe we're selling our product for too cheap. That will become the new base price, is whatever you're paying out, because we live in a free market, so it works both ways. If you want the price to come down, all you simply have to do is stop buying. But, I mean, it takes more than just you or I. It takes, like, everybody needs to stop buying at those prices. But we live in a world where people just can't wait. It's your money. You do whatever you want with it. But if you want to piss away 25 grand, there's other options. Like, you could get on Facebook Marketplace and say, like, you were going to put down 5 grand on this vehicle or whatever. Take that 5 grand. 5 grand will buy you $5,000 will buy you a lot of car on Facebook Marketplace. You can even check Craigslist. That was another good one to check for cheap cars back in the day. And a lot of times you're dealing with a private seller. So just because it says $5,000 doesn't mean that they won't take any less than $5,000. You could wheel and deal with them. But Jay, what if these prices are the new normal prices? If you wait and buy a cheap, reliable car, go back in a couple years after all the smoke clears, you'll have a car to trade in and money in your pocket because you haven't been making any car payments. You could buy a 2021 or 2022 Maverick for less, and the best part is you didn't overpay for it. First person that bought that vehicle probably paid over MSRP. But what people don't understand is it's just because you paid over MSRP doesn't mean that your vehicle is worth that. That's just compounded into the depreciation. Like, you lost $25,000 the moment that you drove it off the lot because you overpaid for it. I'd venture to say Kelley Blue Book isn't going to have an additional wheel added on with how much money you paid over MSRP when you bought the vehicle. That's the last point I'm going to make. Just because you paid over MSRP doesn't make your vehicle more valuable than any other vehicle that type. My apologies for all that. I really wanted to do a $25,000 over MSRP markup, its own video, but I figured I'd tie it in with this because these are the most marked up vehicles, this and the Bronco. Okay, getting back to the Ford Maverick, these are the biggest highlights, the biggest takeaways of the Ford Maverick when comparing it to a different vehicle. So we're going to have two columns. One column for the hybrid, one column for the 2-liter engine, because those are the two powertrains offered. The hybrid makes 191 horsepower. The hybrid model only comes in front-wheel drive, has 1,500 pounds of payload, towing capacity of 2,000 pounds. The big one that we haven't mentioned yet is miles per gallon. The hybrid gets 42 miles per gallon in the city, 37 combined, 33 on the highway. The price is $19,995 to $25,860 for a Lariat model. Now, talking about the 2-liter engine, it's 250 horsepower, 1,500 pounds of payload. You could get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. If you got front-wheel drive, 2,000 pounds towing, or if you got all-wheel drive, 4,000 pounds towing. Miles per gallon for front-wheel drive is 23 city, 30 highway, or 26 combined. All-wheel drive is 22 city, 29 highway, or 25 combined. Price starts at $21,080 and goes up to $26,945 for a Lariat model. No matter what trim level package you decide to get, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto comes standard. Okay, on to the competition. The Ford Maverick only has one direct competitor, and that is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's sort of the Subaru Baja of today. Okay, let's talk about Santa Cruz pricing. $24,140 is the base price, and it goes all the way up to just a tick under 40 grand. It's offered in 4 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the SEL Premium, and the Limited model. The SE and the SEL come standard with front-wheel drive, and in that configuration, it's capable of towing up to 3,500 pounds. You could get all-wheel drive as an option. It costs $1,500, and then you're capable of pulling up to 5,000 pounds, which is crazy. 2 engine choices. The base engine that comes in the SE and the SEL produces 191 horsepower. It returns 21 city, 26 on the highway, and 23 combined. Step up to the SEL Premium or the Limited trim, and you get a 2.5-liter turbo producing 281 horsepower. It's good for 19 city, 27 on the highway, 22 combined. All-wheel drive is standard. It seats up to 5, just like the Ford Maverick. The bed is it's just under 4.5 feet, 52 inches long. Okay, on to the good part. We're going to compare the Maverick versus the Santa Cruz. A lot of people don't ask this question, but who has the better warranty? Hyundai has a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty versus Ford's 5-year, 50,000-mile powertrain warranty. Will I be towing with this vehicle, or would I just be driving it back and forth to work? Ford actually did a market study and found out that most people that own F-150s, that's why they brought back the Ranger, they just drive back and forth to work. They don't use the bed. They don't use it for towing. Maybe it's a guy that works at a coal mine or a lumber yard, and he just can't drive a little car without being made fun of, so he drives his truck back and forth to work. It's kind of counterintuitive because they don't get very good gas mileage. For simplicity, moving forward, we're only going to compare the 2-liter EcoBoost engine out of the Maverick. The hybrid engine is kind of on hold until 2023 anyway, but as you saw previous, it has the best numbers as far as miles per gallon or economy goes. I don't think there's any truck out there that will even come close to it. So that's better in that category across the board moving forward. But we're going to focus on the 2-liter engine moving forward. Otherwise, it'll just be going back and forth a lot, and it'll make this video into a 3-hour video. Okay, here is a side-by-side paper comparison of the Maverick versus the Santa Cruz. The Maverick is about $3,000 cheaper than the Santa Cruz. It's got a smaller engine, but more output. It can't tow nearly as much as the Santa Cruz. The Santa Cruz can tow about 1,500 pounds in front-wheel drive format, more than the Maverick, and 1,000 pounds with all-wheel drive equipped. The all-wheel drive option is cheaper than the Maverick, but the base price to buy the Santa Cruz is more than the Maverick. Okay, let's talk about miles per gallon. The front-wheel drive configuration format, the Ford does 4 miles per gallon better on the highway than the Santa Cruz. In the all-wheel drive configuration, the Maverick still does better than the Santa Cruz, but it's only about 2 miles per gallon better across the board. Let's talk about warranty. The Santa Cruz is a Hyundai product. They have the best warranty in the car industry, 10 years, 100,000 miles, whereas the Ford has 5 years, 50,000 miles. Every YouTuber out there has stacked the Maverick versus the Santa Cruz. What if we think outside the box a little bit? Like, what about Maverick versus Colorado? Okay, a bit of an overview for the Chevy Colorado. The Chevy Colorado offers 18 trims total. The price starts at $25,435 and goes all the way up to $44,200. You could get a 6-foot bed or a 5-foot bed. It depends on what cab configurations you get, and it will dictate the size of the bed. For this comparison, we're only going to use the 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder producing 200 horsepower, rear-wheel drive. Okay, side-by-side comparison of the Maverick versus the Colorado. On paper, the Maverick is about $4,000 cheaper than the Colorado. The Maverick has 50 more horsepower than the Colorado, but the Colorado can tow more than the Maverick. Colorado has a bigger bed. Both 5-foot and 6-foot beds are both bigger than the Maverick's bed, but the payload is 100 pounds less than the Maverick. The Maverick beats it on fuel economy. Colorado beats it in warranty. Okay, up next, let's compare the Ford Maverick to the Nissan Frontier. Totally different trucks, I know, but we're trying to show you all the different options that you could get. The Nissan Frontier starts at $28,340, and it goes up to $37,770. Important to note that Nissan offers 12 different trim levels that you could get for this truck. Do you guys see the difference? I added a number up there, $24,435, and that number pertains to having the all-wheel drive package added to the base price. So there's no going through and calculating, and sometimes in a lot of cases that number is actually closer to the base price of the competitor. Okay, there it is in black and white. You could see the Nissan Frontier starts at $29,640. That's with the crew cab. If you got a plain Jane regular cab, they start at $28,340, like we said earlier. Engine, it has a 3.8 V6. Power, it makes 60 horsepower more than the Maverick, 310 horsepower on the Frontier side. The Frontier can also pull anywhere between 4,570 pounds and 2,507 pounds more than the Maverick. Maverick beats the Nissan Frontier in fuel economy, but the Nissan Frontier has a slight edge in the warranty department. 60,000 miles on the Nissan side versus 50,000 miles on the Ford side. All right, next up, Ford Maverick versus Toyota Tacoma. I know you're sitting there thinking this is totally unfair comparison, but Toyota actually offers the Tacoma with a 4-cylinder engine that makes less power than the Maverick. It starts at $26,700, and we're going to pull up the side-by-side comparison here so you can see how close these vehicles actually are. So the base Tacoma starts at $26,700. You could get the base Maverick, and it would be about $5,000 cheaper. If you got the all-wheel drive Maverick, you're saving about $2,000-ish. It's more like $1,500, but you have almost 100 more horsepower in the Maverick. Tacoma can pull more than the standard front-wheel drive Maverick, but if you got the all-wheel drive package, you could tow more than the base Tacoma. Payload, the Toyota Tacoma wins in payload. It wins in bed size. It loses in fuel economy in both categories, and it edges the Ford in the warranty department by 10,000 miles on the warranty end. Maverick versus Ridgeline. This one's a little bit out there because the Ridgeline starts at $37,640, which you could almost buy 1.5 Mavericks for that. You could buy a fully loaded Lariat and still be cheaper than this is base price. But let's talk about it a little bit. Honda Ridgeline comes in 4 trim levels. You got the Sport, the RTL, RTLE, and the Black Edition. The Honda Ridgeline sports a 64-inch bed. Side-by-side comparison of the Maverick versus the Ridgeline. I never noticed how expensive the Ridgeline was until I started researching this. So I put the Lariat up there. It's $26,945 for a base Lariat. And then if you got the all-wheel drive package, that would bring it to $30,250, which you're still $7,000 cheaper than the Ridgeline. And the Ridgeline has about 30 more horsepower. It could pull 1,000 more pounds than the Maverick equipped with all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is standard on the Ridgeline. Payload is 83 pounds more on the Ridgeline. The Ridgeline has a bigger bed. Miles per gallon, the Ford Maverick beats it. The Ridgeline beats it on warranty by 10,000 miles. All right, Maverick versus Ranger. This comparison's for all the people that maybe just want to keep it in the Ford family. Maybe they're Ford people, and that's all they want to buy. Here's a side-by-side comparison of Maverick versus Ranger. Okay, side-by-side comparison. Maverick versus Ranger. XL versus XL. I stuck the Lariat up there just for reference. They're actually closer in price than people give them credit for. Yes, if you got the base Maverick, it's about $6,000 cheaper, but if you got a fully loaded Lariat edition, it's only about $1,000 cheaper. And then if you add the all-wheel drive package, you're actually over what the Ranger cost. The Ranger in base configuration, 2.3 liter inline 4-cylinder engine EcoBoost, producing 270 horsepower, 20 more horsepower over the Maverick. It can tow in that sweet spot of 3,500 pounds. It's rear-wheel drive, the Ranger is. But if you got the all-wheel drive package, you could pull more with the Maverick, but you will also have to buy the $745 tow package, which I failed to mention previous. Payload, the Ranger beats out on payload. It beats out on bed size. It's rear-wheel drive as opposed to front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Warranty is the same. Maverick gets better gas mileage. Okay, next up, Ford Maverick versus Jeep Gladiator. How do they stack up? I know this is a totally unfair comparison because the Jeep Gladiator starts at $36,380. It's offered in 9 trim levels, but let's see how they stack up on paper. Okay, side-by-side comparison on paper, Maverick versus Gladiator. I've included the Lariat. It starts at $26,945. If you got the all-wheel drive package, that would bring you up to $30,250, which is still vastly cheaper than the Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep Gladiator is powered by a 3.6-liter V6 making 285 horsepower, which is more power, 35 horsepower more than the Maverick. Towing is the same if you got the all-wheel drive package. Payload, the Jeep Gladiator can haul 200 pounds more in the bed than the Maverick. The bed is also bigger on the Gladiator by half a foot. The Gladiator completely falls apart in the miles per gallon category, where the Maverick just walks all over it, because the Maverick gets better gas mileage than any truck that we put it up against, except for our last one, which we'll get to. Warranty, the Jeep edges out the Maverick by 10,000 miles in warranty. Okay, for our last comparison, this one's not even on the same planet. Ford Maverick versus the Rivian R1T. I personally love the styling of the Rivian R1T, and why we're comparing these, for those of you that don't know, this is the very first electric truck to market. It beat the Cybertruck and the Ford Lightning to market, and there's a couple other various electric vehicles floating out there that claim to be the first one, but they're lying because this is the first one. The Rivian is fully electric, and the Maverick gets the best fuel economy out of any ICE engine available at the moment. That's why we're comparing these two. This is a completely unfair comparison. I added the Lariat with all-wheel drive, that's $30,250 versus the $67,500 price tag of the Rivian R1T. You could get 2 Lariats and still have money left over. The engine, it's electric, 835 horsepower. versus the Maverick's 250 horsepower. It's all-wheel drive all the time. It can allegedly tow 11,000 pounds. Doesn't say for how long. It doesn't say what the range is. Payload, it beats it out in payload. It beats it out in bed size. It beats it out everywhere. Even in the warranty department, 8 years, 175,000 miles. That's better than Hyundai. I know this was a totally unfair comparison, but if you're not into the Maverick and you're into any of the other vehicles, you could always pause the program on whatever vehicle you're interested in. Say it's the Jeep Gladiator. Take a screenshot of the Jeep Gladiator's stats and then play the video and what you want to compare it to. Because most of the stats are there, or at least the ones that most people care about. 0 to 60 is not on there because a lot of these trucks don't go very fast. So I didn't include that one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later this week. Toodaloo!